So, welcome everyone. Angela Giles here with my incredible guest, Jim DiLorenzo. And I'm so excited to have him here because he is how many years now, Jim?
I have been on my own for over 26 years now,
26
and I've been
years.
in public relations for at least 40.
That's incredible. And he looks so young too. So, you
Well, I
know,
did start when I was in high school, so that's got
eh,
to that's got to count in my favor somehow.
well, I was going to say grade school, but who am I, right? We're all 35 over and over again. That's my
Exactly,
philosophy. Perfect.
exactly.
So, Jim and I had an incredible conversation before the airing of this wonderful episode. And Jim said something that I thought was so profound. It was actually funny. And Jim, I would love for you to share your tagline, if you will, or your
Sure.
statement with our listeners.
As I recall, we were having a conversation about AI and the role AI plays in PR and in business today. And I said that AI is like having an intern with a PhD. And I find that is a very telling comment because AI can give you so much information. It can help you out in so many ways, but it is really like having an intern, a volunteer, somebody working for you that you don't have to pay, but can do
Yay.
all these great things that sometimes time consuming things that you would love to farm out to somebody. And now you can farm it out to this technology tool.
Which is
So
amazing.
yes. So it's really like as my friend had said to me and I've said to you, it's like having an intern with a PhD because they have all the information at their fingertips. They can funnel it back to you, and then you can pick and choose how you want to use it.
I love it. I think that that is fantastic. And I think, the pros of that are, I mean, you can't even put a number to that. However, one of the things that I have seen, and I was talking to one of my business partners about, was the impact too. Like if you're an intern and you have this AI at your fingertips with all this information, but your real world experience isn't there yet, how does that impact what you give out, right? And he was talking about his son who's about ready to graduate. His son is brilliant, really incredible in the business acumen world, marketing, communications, as in he's finishing up colleges, but he's got one of those incredible minds, right? And he's very smart. But, you get on calls with people that are new in the business world and they have all this AI experience, but not necessarily all the real experience. And I'm curious from your perspective, how do you feel like that's going to impact information moving forward, especially in the public relations sector?
I think that's one of the ways that I'm going to be more important than ever is that
Okay, I love it.
I'm going to bring 40 plus years experience to the table. And right now I'm working with a client that has a very young, somewhat already accomplished late 20s public relations director. And I've worked with the CEO of this group for many years. I went to school with him. And he brought me in a couple of weeks ago and said, look, I've got a really good PR person. She is bright. She's energetic. She knows what she wants to do. She knows how to do things, but she doesn't have your experience. Can you share with her some of the things that you've learned over the years? Can you consult with her on projects and help her along and show her some of the ropes and introduce her to some of the people and the techniques and the networks that you already have well established so that she can get a more broad experience and broad picture of, in this case, the Philadelphia, Pennsylvania market, the Eastern Pennsylvania market, the Northeastern region market, so that she has something that she can work with in addition to her already developing skills. So where I see the place for someone like me, an older, experienced person, is continuing the education for the younger group that is coming in, the younger generation that is coming in, and has the comfort with AI, has the comfort with social media, has the comfort with podcasting and video, and all the tools that have come into play over the last 10 years, the last 5 years, the last 2 years. So they have that comfort level with those things, and I can share with them the storytelling techniques, the relationship building techniques, the networking techniques, and the basics, the essentials that never go away. I can share that information with them and I can share those learnings with them, and they can build into a better person overall. So the quality of what we're going to put into the AI can be bettered, can be improved upon with working with someone who has a little bit more experience and a little bit more seasoning, perhaps.
I love that, and my question for you is, I love your take on that. I love the fact that you have so much experience and you're willing to share that with, the new generation coming in.
Absolutely.
So my question is, do you feel like people that are, more experienced feel the same way as you? More experienced PR agents or communications agents?
I'm not sure about that
Yeah,
yet. I'm not sure about that yet. I'm kind of a cowboy on the range here. I'm out there on the frontier, calling my own shots. I'm out here on the frontier, and I don't have a home office to answer to, or I don't have any. I'm an independent contractor and
right.
solo practitioner, and so I have my own way of doing things that I've done over years now. There are people who are in agencies or people who are in corporate settings that I think are very protective of their turf and protective of their networks. I'm at a point in my career where willing, I've always been willing to share and teach and mentor younger up and coming professionals. When I was at Villanova University in the late 80s and early 90s, I had a ton of interns and volunteer assistants that worked for me over the years. And almost, I would say 90% of the people that I had a mentorship role with went on to very successful careers in public relations or communications overall. So I was always very proud of that. And when I went into the corporate world, I had a couple people that I mentored along the way at the two stops I made before I started my own business. And in the last 26 years, when I've been out here on my own, I've spoken to school groups, high school groups, college groups, graduate school groups, and professional associations to try to share some of these new things that I see along the way. And always enjoyed that part of it. So, Angela, from my point of view, one of the things I'm trying to focus my practice on here in the last 6 months or so, and going forward into 2026, is being a media training coach, being a public speaking coach, being a storytelling coach. So that's one of the reasons why I embrace podcasting and I embrace these opportunities to talk to people. Is that the only way I'm going to be able to continue to be a success as a consultant, and the only way I'm going to continue to be a success as growing my abilities and growing my network and growing my skill set, is to continue to learn new things and then go out there and share them with
Well, I love
people.
that.
Find me as an expert resource.
Exactly, and that's the whole key. I think, when we were talking earlier before we got on here and started recording, so is the whole key is to, if you are using AI and really making use of it, but you want more experience, real world experiences, to reach out to someone like Jim. Jim has the experience, and that, I think, combined with AI is what's going to set people apart. I there's pros and cons of really AI growing so fast, and one of the pros is it's great. It's a wonderful tool. It will help you do all these things. But I think that there are people in the business world that are nervous. They may be nervous because they think their job may be replaced with AI. And,
Absolutely.
and I can understand that. But that's where if you feel that way, you need to either A, do what? Increase your skills. What else do you think that someone would need to do?
Well, I think it's okay to be afraid, especially if you hear all these stories about downsizing and redundancies and things like that within an organization. So one of the ways to prevent that being an issue is to improve your skill set. And if AI is not going away, no matter what people tell you, it's not going away. It's just like, you know, 27, 28 years ago when I got into the internet technology space and I was evangelizing why corporate America needed to embrace the internet and e-commerce. And people were looking at me in January of 1997 like I had a third eye. And they were like, no, there's no way we're going to be on the internet. Okay. That thing's not going to last. Well, now you're getting those same naysayers just saying, hey, AI is going to go away or it's going to be outlawed, just like TikTok. People thought TikTok was going away. TikTok is
Yeah.
not going to go away. So you have to embrace these things. You have to learn about these things and incorporate them into your skill set. And the only way to do that is to experiment. You have to experiment, whether it's at home at night or you take time your lunch hour, where you start attending webinars or going listening to podcasts or going out to events that can give you some basics to start from. I picked up all the things that I know right now about AI on my own. I
So
asked
I
people what they were doing, and I had the benefit of having a very good young client and partner who works in the podcasting space, who showed me some of the things that he was thinking of doing and how he wanted to do them. And then I said, okay, let me try that. And I tried it with him, and then I tried it on my own. And then I started growing it and growing it and growing it. So now it comes to the point where, for me, I use AI to help me edit my press releases. I write them on my own, and I will funnel it back to them and say, what do you think of this? Do you have any suggestions? And I've uploaded previous things that I've written. I've uploaded videos of me. I've uploaded audio of me. I've uploaded other things that I've written, presentations I've made, shows I've appeared on. So the AI is learning who I am and how I speak, how I talk, how I write, and can come back with some based on some of the things you've written before. I think this would work for you. And then you have the option of saying yes or no. Or then you have the option of saying, okay, let's try this.
I think
So,
that's so important.
and I think people lose sight of that because they say, okay, AI gave this back to me. I'm just going to use it.
Yeah.
My alma mater sent out an email the other, which was so badly written and it had such obvious duplication of words and punctuation that I knew it was written by AI, and whoever was responsible for creating that email just took it out of the AI chatbot or whatever they were using and put it into the email and never did any edit other than, okay, this is what AI put out for me. I'm just going to send it out.
Well, and
So
that's the thing.
that's the thing that's going to be the downfall for people is they just think, okay, AI gave me this. This must be right. And it has to be your voice. It has to be your
Yep.
authentic feel. And now as the world is getting more sophisticated, especially the search engines and the AI itself, they can now tell you this looks like it was written by AI or this looks like it was created by AI. And you don't want that to happen. You don't want your content to be flagged. You don't want your creations to be flagged as, oh, this has AI in it. So you need that authenticity. You need to take what's coming from the AI that you've put into the AI and have a critical eye.
You
And
really
that's just
do.
something I've only really learned by doing.
Exactly, and I think AI can help you with repetitive tasks, but really when you use AI that way and still have your own voice and your own brand tone and all of that inside of it, and you can, create a chatbot and make your own chatbot. Well, that's what I do. I help people create bots, right? So that it can be them. It's like it can be you and it's trained on you. It's trained on your language, what words to use. It's trained on don't use the word fluff and duct tape because that's chat GPT, right? Like use your own style. Which brings me to this other point, Jim, that we had talked about that I thought was so important. In the world of AI, with all the knowledge and everything out there, how do you, as a brand or a business, stand out? Well, you tell a story. And I would love for you to talk a little bit about that, Jim, like how having a story will set you apart from everybody else that's using AI. And maybe they say tell a story or share analogy. I can't say that word today for some reason. We all trip. But share with us how really having that story will set you apart. You can still use AI.
I would be glad to, Angela. And where I start with is I'm a professional storyteller. I tell the stories of my clients, my colleagues, my friends, and associates in a positive way to build business awareness, drive attendance, drive traffic, build a brand through storytelling. And I look at positive storytelling in this case as the way to grow a brand. You want to tell the stories that people gain heart share from. You want to have stories that touch them in their hearts, and then you get the mind share. So that's what I try to do with every engagement that I have, every project that I work on, is to work on something that is very basic, a story that will reach people's hearts and then their minds. Now, I try to stay away from politics. I try to stay away from crisis communication. I try to emphasize good stories in the community or of a business that's growing or an event that's happening. So I'm always looking at for positive stories that I can help tell. And I think I described to you earlier, I look at it as being a private investigator who works in public relations. I want to uncover the story of my client and say, okay, I'm hearing you say this, or I've seen you do this. This is a really good story. We need to tell this story. And here's how we're going to tell it. And when you look at AI, when you look at social media, when you look at video, when you look at film, when you look at audio, the best produced and most effective areas in those things have an underlying story. There's a message there, and that story can be told on multiple channels and platforms, but the story is consistent. So I look at storytelling as the common denominator, the base factor, the foundation of any messaging or brand building. You have to have a good story, and you have to know your story, and you have to be able to tell your story and then be comfortable with your story and get that story told. And then you embrace AI, you embrace social media, you embrace video, you embrace audio, and embrace podcasting as tools to tell that foundational story. So once you've got your story straight and you know what you want to say, then you can apply it to all these other platforms and tools. So the storytelling never goes away. It's just all these other tools that we have now to tell the story.
And I
So
love that.
I look at AI as another way that I can help tell a story. I gave you a specific instance, Angela, where I said that I will write a press release and I will upload it into my chatbot, which I call Alfred after Alfred, Bruce Wayne's butler, Batman's butler. So I have Alfred take a look at it and he says, okay, this looks good based on some of the things you've written before and what you've been telling me and some of the I might have a transcript of a phone conversation, or I might have a transcript of a video call that I've uploaded and say, okay, so this is what Jim Drucker said to you in your conversation with him on September 6th. Do you want to include this in the press release? Okay, that might be a good idea. Let me see what it would look like. And then when I look at it and say, okay, let's try this, and I can tweak it on my own without having to go back into Alfred's purview there. Then when I have my press release ready to go, and I try to keep them under 1,000 words, I try to keep them short, sweet, and to the point. I follow Associated Press style book. I've written professionally since I was 16 years old. I've been published in newspapers, magazines, and elsewhere. So I know how to write. I know what I like to write. I've edited people's writing. So I sit there and I'll look at it, and I use AI to edit and to suggest. But then I use what I've written and I'll put it back into the chatbot and I'll say, okay, give me some message points, emojis, hashtags that I can use on these particular social media platforms. And I will list
Ooh,
Twitter
that's
X, Threads, Blue Sky, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. And I'll say, these are the platforms I want to do. I want your suggestions on how I can promote what I'm putting out on the wire, or what I'm putting out on a website, and that what I put on social media will drive the traffic to that story. It'll be a short little storytelling piece that can then drive it to the longer form of the story, whether it be a video, whether it be a podcast episode. So what would be the right way to describe this on all those different platforms? And it'll give me the formatting. And then I can tweak the language any way I want. I can tweak the emojis any way I want. I can tweak the hashtags any way I want. But at least I have a baseline to work with.
so, Jim, I love how you shared how you can create this incredible story that's unique to everyone, right? As part of their either professional growth or their business brand growth, or a
Absolutely.
combination of both. And you use AI hand in hand to help you massage the story, make it, the very best, and then use AI to get it out everywhere. Because what you're talking about would have taken hours and hours each week, if you will,
Absolutely.
right?
Having worked in this on my own for so many years now, I can tell you that that stuff took years, weeks
Yeah. Yeah.
sometimes to get those stories straight. And, you know, I like the fact that, if I can have a conversation with you, I have a transcription of it. I can put that into the chat box and I can say, can you give me takeaways? Can you give me quotes? Can you give me to dos based on the conversation I just had? And
Exactly.
quickly, I gained a client recently because I had a transcript of my conversation with him in July and what he was telling me about all these different things. And I had put it into the chat bot and I said, give me a transcript, a clean transcript, and then give me your summary, give me your to dos that you heard out of this, and some suggestions. And then when the chatbot spit it out, I was able to look at it and say, okay, yeah, I agree with this. I don't want this. And then what I did is I edited that down. When I had my next conversation with the client in early September, he said, I talked to you in July. Do you have any feedback from our July conversation? I said, as a matter of fact, I do. And I just shot it right over to him. And he opened it up and he said, oh my God, you really captured exactly what I was hoping you would do. Let's do this. And he
So
signed a contract that afternoon.
that's amazing. And that's exactly I love your attitude. Instead of, "Oh my gosh, I'm not sure if this is a good thing." I think it's wonderful. I'm kinda like you though. I always love to try new things and I love AI, I love tech. However, I am very much about human connection. Hence, Savage Angels, Savage Growth, human connection. And so, yeah, it's wonderful. So, if someone was interested in following you, learning more about the services that you offer, Jim, where can they find you?
Certainly. My website is jhdenterprises.com. I'm on LinkedIn, Jim DiLorenzo. You can email me, jim at jhdenterprises.com, or you can call or text me at 215-266-5943.
I love
And
that.
I'm all over social media except for TikTok. I'm working on that.
Okay, so you better get your TikTok going because TikTok is my jam. I love TikTok.
I've noticed that from you. I've
Yes,
noticed that.
but I will tell you, you inspired me to get on Blue Sky because I'm like, I don't know if I want to get on there. So I went and made an account. So now I've got to.
Wonderful.
Yeah. So there you go, Jim.
Yeah,
All
I
right.
think you have to be everywhere just to be able to. I don't know if I mentioned this to you before, but my father had a camera shop in Trenton, New Jersey for 50
Mhm.
years. And he would come
Wow.
in the morning at 8 o'clock and he would slide the sign over. It says open. And then he would leave at 9 o'clock in the evening and he would slide the sign over to say closed. Well, social media is my way of saying I'm always open.
You're always open. Well, exactly. And I love the fact that you were willing to share your phone number so people can text or call you. I think that's wonderful. That shows how open you are. And of course, we will have all your information when this episode airs. So, Jim, any last words of wisdom that you can share with our audience?
Always remember that the storytelling is the key. And if you can work on your story and you can refine it and you can hone it and you can become comfortable with it and you're comfortable telling it, you're comfortable with what you're telling them, you have it remembered, you have it easy to recall. Sometimes we call it the elevator pitch. I think the ultimate elevator pitch is look up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman. Oh, okay, there it is. That's something that you've had in your mind for 50 some years in TV and radio. Having that storytelling component locked in gives you the ability to use any tool that comes along, any technology that comes along, any opportunity that comes along to your benefit because you have a story that you can tell. And now you have all these different ways to tell the story.
I love that, Jim. Thank you so much for being part of our Savage Angel
It was a great
podcast.
pleasure, Nicola. Thank
Yeah,
you for asking me.
you are welcome.
It's
Bye
been
for
an
now.
honor.